In the last class, we had started discussing a situation where we had a potential step where the potential suddenly rose from a value to a different value. And as is already familiar to us, in the region 1, we can express the wave function as a superposition of two different waves, a1 e to the power I k1x plus b1 e to the power minus I k1x. Similarly, in the region 2, you can have same kind of expansion, just that the coefficients are different and the mode and the wave number k is different. Now, the next thing which we were considering in the last class was the probability current. The probability current tells us the rate at which the probability is flowing. So in a situation where we have particles incident from the, let us say, the left hand side like this, and we have something getting transmitted, something getting reflected. So the situation at hand is that the particles come from this side, are incident from here onto this potential step, and we want to study what happens. So the rate at which the probability of the particle is flowing is given by the probability current, and this into the area gives us the probability flux. So let us calculate the probability current for the various parts of the wave function in such a situation. Now it is clear that if the wave function is real, the probability current is going to be 0, because the probability current is defined to be 1 by 2m psi star, the p operator acting on psi, minus psi, the p operator acting on psi star. So if psi is real, these two parts will cancel out and the probability current is going to be 0. So if for a real wave function the probability doesn't flow, it is static, the probability density is static. So let us calculate the probability current for parts of this wave function. This wave function on the left hand side can be written as a superposition of two parts. One is psi minus, the one indicates in the region 1, and we have psi minus here and psi plus. Psi minus and psi plus refer to e to the power minus ikx and e to the power ikx respectively. So this plus 1x refers to a1 e to the power ikx. Psi minus 1x refers to b1 e to the power minus ikx. So let us calculate the probability current for each of these parts. So first we calculate the probability current for the part psi minus 1, and that I am calling, or psi plus 1, and that is what I call j plus 1. So that is equal to 1 by 2m, and we have psi star here. Psi star is a1 star e to the power minus I k1x, and then we have the momentum operator, which is minus I h cross d by dx, and we have psi, which is a e to the power I k1x, a1 e to the power I k1x. And then we have one more term where we have interchanged psi and psi star. So this calculation is very simple. You just have to differentiate this function, which gives factor of I k1, and the I and the minus I over here give you 1. So what we have is h cross k into the mod of a1 squared, and this gives the same thing. You get an extra minus sign here which compensates for this minus sign. So these two terms add up, and finally what we have is the mod of a1 square h cross k1 by m. So this is the probability current due to the psi plus 1, which is this part of the wave function. Now let us see what this represents. So this is in this situation the probability current is positive, which tells us that the probability is actually flowing along the positive x direction, or it is flowing from left to right. So the probability, as it were, the probability density is moving along the positive x direction. Okay, so it is moving along the positive x direction. So this corresponds to a particle incident from the left to the right. So this situation corresponds to the probability current is moving this way. So the probability of finding the particle is also moving this way. So we can say that this corresponds to a situation where the particle is actually moving in this direction. It is incident on this step from the left and coming here, which is also what you would expect, because this wave function corresponds to an eigenfunction of a free particle with a momentum p, positive p. Okay. Similarly, if you calculate the probability current for psi minus 1, which is this part of the wave function on the left hand side, this part of the wave function in region 1, b1 e to the power minus k1x, then this will have an extra minus sign, this will also have an extra minus sign, and what you will get is that j minus 1 is equal to minus the mod of b square h cross, this will be k1 by m. This corresponds to a particle moving from right to left because the probability current is negative. So the probability current flows along the negative x direction, and this you can interpret as a particle moving from right to left. So this is something which is reflected or emitted, which emanates. This corresponds to some part of the wave which emanates from the potential step. Similarly, j minus 2 is the part of psi 2, corresponds to the part of psi 2, the current, probability current of the part of psi 2, which is incident on the step from the right to left. So if you look at this part now, the part of the wave function, if you have a probability current for particle incident on this step, it will flow, the probability current will flow from this side, it will be negative. So j minus 2 is the probability current flowing this way, corresponding to particle moving in this direction, a wave propagating this way, and j plus 2 are particles emanating from the step. Now we want to consider a situation where you have particles incident from the left side and there are no particles incident from the right side. That is a situation we want to consider. The j minus 2 should be 0. These are the boundary conditions which we have to set. We are considering a situation where particle is emitted from one side and then it encounters this step and we want to study what happens. So j minus 2 is 0, which tells us that b2 is 0 and we have particles incident from here, a wave function corresponding to particles coming like this. And part of the wave function, if you match the boundary conditions here, you will find that a part of the wave function corresponds to particles going this way, and part of it corresponds to this. So a wave function is incident on this, a part of the wave function gets reflected back, a part of the wave function is transmitted, which you can interpret is like this, that a particle is sent from here, and there is a finite probability that you can find the particle will get reflected, and there is a probability that the particle will be transmitted. Okay, and the probability current which represents the flow of the probability are given by these j plus and j minus. Now we want to calculate the reflection coefficient, which is the ratio of the probability current corresponding to this divided by the incident probability current. So this is j minus 1, which is the probability current for the part of the wave which is reflected, divided by j plus 1, the mod of these two, which in this situation is b1 mod square by a1 mod squared. The ratio of this to this is just b1, the mod of this to mod of this is just b1 mod square to a1 mod square, because the wave numbers are the same on both sides. Similarly, we want to calculate the transmission coefficient. The transmission coefficient is the ratio of the probability current corresponding to the part of the wave which is transmitted onto the region 2 divided by the incident probability current, and this comes out to be A2 mod square by A1 mod square, and you have the ratio of K2 by K1. This ratio of K2 by K1 arises because the wave number on these two sides are different, and the wave number also appears in the expression for the probability current. Okay. So let me remind you that this is very similar to the situation in optics, which we have already presumably studied, where you have a light wave or an electromagnetic wave incident on a dielectric, say a slab of glass. If you match the boundary conditions, you will find that a part of the wave gets reflected, a part of the wave gets transmitted, and you have the reflection coefficient and the transmission coefficient. The reflection coefficient there is the ratio of the reflected flux by the incident flux. So the quantity corresponding to the flux here is the current, probability current. And the transmission ratio, the transmission coefficient there was the transmitted flux by the incident flux. So you have to take the ratio of the currents, because the current tells us the rate at which the probability flow is flowing. There the flux tells us the rate at which the energy is flowing. Okay, the electromagnetic or optical light energy. So we want to calculate this. Now, this calculation I shall not do in any detail here. You can easily do it yourself, because we have already found out the relation between A1 B1 and A2 B2. This has already been done, and you can just plug in these relations into these expressions for the reflection and transmission coefficient and easily work this out. So I leave this for you as an exercise for a potential step to work out the reflection and transmission coefficients. You can also very easily show that R plus T, the sum of the reflection and transmission coefficient, is equal to 1. I will move on to a slightly more complicated problem, very similar to this, but it's a little more complicated. So let us look at a potential barrier. That was a potential step. So we shall consider a potential barrier. So what is a potential barrier? It is a situation where the potential looks like this. So this is again a one-dimensional problem, x, and I'm plotting the potential here, V of x versus x. The potential is 0 for x less than 0, and then it suddenly jumps up to a certain value. This value is maintained, and then it falls to 0 again at the value, let us say, x equal to a. So the width of the potential is a, and the height of the potential barrier is V naught. So it is the reverse of the situation we were considering earlier, the potential well. Here we have a potential barrier. And we could have two situations. We could have a particle with energy more than the barrier energy. We could have particle with energy like this, or we could have a particle with energy less than the potential barrier. There are two possibilities. Classically, a particle with energy less than the potential barrier incident from the left hand side would come here and get reflected. It would not be able to propagate onto this region here. If the energy was more than the barrier height, it would go through. It would move slightly slower in this region because its kinetic energy would fall, and then again it would regain back its original kinetic energy once it crosses the barrier, and it would continue. In quantum mechanics, we shall see that there is a probability of a particle coming from this side to cross this barrier and appear on the right hand side. And this is an effect known as tunneling, and we shall study this also. why this effect occurs is very easy to understand. If you already know now that if the energy, suppose the energy is less than V naught, on the left hand side the wave is going to be oscillating. So let me draw the wave here, E less than V naught. In this region the wave is going to be oscillating because the energy is greater than the potential. Potential here is 0. Once it reaches this, the energy is less than the potential. The wave is going to have an exponential behavior. It is going to decay exponentially inside this, but it is not going to go to 0. Over this range of xa, the wave will not go to 0. It will have some finite but small value here. And if you match the boundary conditions here, again you will get a oscillating part of the wave here with a lower amplitude. So this wave incident from this side, part of it will get reflected back, part of it will go into the potential barrier, and it will decay exponentially inside. Once it reaches this region over here, it will again oscillate with the constant amplitude. This amplitude will be less than this amplitude, and this amplitude will represent in some way the probability of the electron, of the particle going through this barrier. So this is a brief overview of how this tunneling occurs in quantum mechanics. Now let us do the calculation. So let us look at the picture first a little carefully before going on to the calculation. We can call this region 1 and this region 2 the same notation, and this region 3. Okay, and we shall now deal with the situation where the energy is more than V naught. Afterwards we can set K2, which is the wave number in this region, to minus I rho, and get the results for the energy less than V naught. Okay, so we shall repeat the same kind of exercise which we did for a potential well. We have to match the boundary conditions over here and over here, and find the relation between the coefficients of the wave here, here and here, and use these to calculate the reflection and transmission coefficients. So in region 1, let me just write it down. In region 1, again we have already encountered this once. Region 1, psi 1x is equal to the same kind of expansion, a1 e to the power I k1x, which is the right pen to use, let's see, plus b1 e to the power minus I k1x, psi 2 x is equal to a2 e to the power I k2x plus b2 e to the power minus I k2x, and psi 3 is equal to a3 e to the power I k1x plus b3 e to the power minus I k1x, where k1 is equal to square root of 2me by h cross square, because in the region 1 and region 3 there is no potential, and k2 is equal to 2m e minus v naught by h cross square. We are considering a situation where the energy is more than the potential, and now we have to we know A1 and B1. We know, the only thing that we know is that there are no particles incident from this side. There are no particles, so the particles are incident only from the left side. And a part of the wave will be reflected back, which tells us that we can have both A1 and B1. In between also you could have an exponentially decaying and exponentially growing part. But there are no particles incident from here, which also tells us that B3, which corresponds to the flux of which gives us the probability current flowing from right to left in the region 3, this is equal to 0. So we know that B3 is 0. So let us now eliminate everything else from this. What we want, let us also write down what are the things we want to calculate. We want to calculate the reflection coefficient R. So the reflection coefficient R is equal to the ratio of B1 mod square by A1 mod square, because this represents the incident wave, this is the reflected wave. The ratio of the currents corresponding to these two is the reflection coefficient, and this is B1 mod square by A1 mod square. We want to calculate the transmission coefficient. This is the transmitted wave. A3 is the transmitted wave, A3 e to the power ik 1x. And this is the incident wave. So the ratio of these two currents will be A3 mod square by A1 mod square. The wave number in the region 1 and 3 are the same. So that cancels out over here. We don't have that coming over here. Okay, so we want to calculate the reflection coefficient and the transmission coefficient for this situation, and this is what we want. So we want to express we want to find out the ratio of B1 to A1 and A3 to A1. So let us now embark upon this calculation. So we know, we have already considered what happens to the coefficients as we go across a potential barrier. So we can write down A2, B2 in terms of A1 and B1. This is equal to C, and if you remember the expression, we had C e to the power I delta 1, but the potential step over here is at A equal to 0, x equal to 0, so the phase is 0. Delta 1 was K1 plus K1 minus K2 into A, where the A was the position of the step. Here it is 0, so there is no phase coming in over here. So we have only C, and here we have D, and here we have D, and here we have C, A1, B1. So this relates the coefficients A2, B2 to the coefficients A1, B1. We can also write down what are C and D, so that we can write here C is equal to half 1 plus K1 by K2, and D is equal to half 1 minus K1 by K2. So these are C and D. We also have across the next barrier, across this barrier at x equal to A, if you equate the coefficients across that barrier, you get A3 B3 is equal to C prime e to the power I delta 1 prime D prime e to the power minus I delta 2 prime. Here you have D e to the power I delta 2 prime, D prime I delta 2 prime, and C prime e to the power minus I delta 1 prime. A2, B2. So now let us write down what are C prime and D prime also. So C prime is equal to 1 plus K2 by K1, because the quantity which comes in there is the ratio of the wave number here by the wave number here. So when you look at this step over here, it will be the ratio of the wave number in this region divided by the wave number here, which is K2 by K1, half, which is equal to, I can write this as K2 by K1 into C. So C prime is K2 by K1 into C. Similarly, D prime is equal to half 1 minus K2 by K1, which is equal to minus K2, sorry, this will be K2 by, no, sorry, let me just do it here carefully. C prime is equal to half 1 minus K2 by 1 plus K1, K2 by K1, which is equal to K2 by K1 into C, and D prime is equal to half 1 minus K2 by K1, which is equal to minus K2 by K1 into D. Okay. Let us also calculate the phases over here. So delta 1 prime is equal to K2 minus K1 A, and delta 2 prime, delta 2 prime is equal to K2 plus K1 into A. So let us plug all of this into the relation between A3 B3 and A2 B2. So this relation now becomes A3 B3 is equal to, I can take the ratio K2 by K1 outside, K2 by K1 into, I have C, and then I have e to the power I delta 1, which is K2 minus K1A, e to the power I K2 minus K1A, and here I have D. Okay. Let us just keep the I delta 2 here. Okay, so we have I e to the power minus I delta 2 prime, and then we have minus D here, and we have minus D e to the power I delta 2 prime, and here we have C e to the power minus I delta 1 prime. So this is A3 in terms of A2 and B2. Let me also plug in the expression for A2 and B2 here. This into C D D C A1 B1, A1 and B1. Now we have to just do this matrix multiplication and get the relation between A3, B3 and A1 and B1. Right? So let us do this matrix multiplication. So this is equal to K2 by K1 And then I have, let us write down the terms one by one slowly. So I have to multiply the first row here with the first column here. So this gives us c squared, and I have e to the power I delta 1 minus d square delta 1 prime minus d square e to the power. So I am multiplying this with this, and then this with this, which gives us minus d square e to the power minus I delta 2 prime. So this is the first term. The second term is the first row into the second column, which gives us c d. We have e to the power I delta 1 prime, I delta 1 prime. So I am multiplying this with this. Next I have to multiply this with this, which gives me minus c d and e to the power minus I delta 2 prime. Let us also multiply the second row with the first column to get this over here. So this gives us minus c d e to the power I delta 2 prime e to the power I delta 2 prime plus, we are multiplying, so this with this c d e to the power minus I delta 1 prime. And we have the last term, which is the second row by the second column, multiply these two. So this gives us minus d square e to the power minus I delta 2. Now we are multiplying this, so e to the power I delta 2 prime, this with this, plus c square e to the power minus I delta 1 prime. And here we have A1, B1. So now we have done this matrix multiplication. Nothing very complicated, just that the terms are a little big, that's all. Now let us look at this expression. So the first thing that you notice is that this and this term over here, they are nothing but the complex conjugate of each other. Similarly, this and this are nothing but the complex conjugate of each other. So basically we have only two independent terms, right? C d e to the power I delta 1 prime, c d to the power minus I delta 1 prime, etc. So this whole thing we can write as A3 B3 is equal to some A B B star A into A1 B1 A star. Okay. So there are only two independent things, and which we call A and B. So now let us just write down what are these small a and small b and put this into the expression for the reflection and transmission coefficients. So what is small a? Small a is equal to c square. What is c? C is okay, there is a factor of k2 by k1 outside, so I have to put that first, k2 by k1 over here, and then we have c squared. C square is nothing but 1 plus k1 by k2 whole squared, and we have e to the power I delta 1, which is e to the power delta 1 prime, which is delta 1 prime is k2 minus k1 into a, k2 minus k1 into a, plus or rather minus d squared. So this minus d squared, and d square I have to also put in the expression. So it is 1 minus k1 by k2 whole squared, and this into e to the power minus I delta 2 prime, which is e to the power minus I k1 plus k2 into a. So this is what is small a. Now here we can take e to the power minus I k1 into a common outside. So this is equal to, there is a factor of 1 by 4 which I can put over here, factor of 1/4 here. Thanks a lot for pointing it out. So there is a 1/4 outside. So what I have is k2 1/4, and then I have k2 by k1, and I have e to the power minus I k1a common, and then I have 1 plus k1 by k2 whole square e to the power I k2a minus 1 minus k1 by k2 whole square e to the power minus k2a I k2a. Okay, so this is what we have. Now this can be further simplified. If I expand this term, I will get two positive terms, which is all three of them will be positive. If I expand this, there will be two terms which will be positive, two terms which will be negative. Now let me take the two of these terms common. So I am going to take 1 and k1 by k2 squared common from this expansion. So that term is also going to occur over here, and what this is going to give me is 1/4 k2 by k1 e to the power minus I k1a. I am taking 1, and if I expand this, I will get 3 terms. I am taking two of these terms. The first one is 1, and then I have k1 by k2 squared, and I have e to the power I k2a over here minus e to the power I minus I k2a. So this will give me 2 cos k2a, oh sorry, sine. This will be sine, sorry, the minus sign there. So this will be minus, and I will have I sine k2a, this minus this, and I will have another term which is 2 k1 by k2. Here also I will have 2 k1 by k2. These two will get added now, so I will have plus 4 k1 by k2 cos k2a. Okay. So we have simplified the expression for a to some extent, and let us write it down carefully somewhere and keep it, because we shall be using it. So we have a is equal to, so the factor of 1/4 over here can be got rid of and made half by getting rid of this 2 here, and this will become 2. So I have Okay, so this can be simplified now. Now, so we can put everything together. So I have half, and then I have k2 by k1 squared, k2 by k1 squared, k2 by k1 squared e to the power minus I k1a there is no square here, and then I have 1 plus k1 by k2 square into I sine k2a plus 2 k1 by k2 cos k2a. So this is what is A. Now let us also work out what is B. So B is equal to C into D. So there is an overall factor of K2 by K1, K2 by K1, and then I have C into D. So C is 1 plus, which can be taken common. Okay, so let us, no, okay, C into D is how much? C into D is 1 plus K1 by K2, 1 minus K1 by K2. So this is over here. And then I have e to the power I delta 1 prime, which is e to the power I K2 minus K1 A. And here I have minus 1 minus K1 by K2, 1 plus K1 by K2, which is again C into D into e to the power minus I delta 2 prime, which is minus I K1 plus K2 into A. Okay, this is CD e to the power I delta 1 prime, and this is minus CD e to the power minus I delta 2 prime. So this whole thing actually is common, which I can take outside, and here I have e to the power I minus I k1 also can be taken outside, and what I have left is e to the power I, there's a 1/4 outside again, so e to the power I k1 minus k1a can be taken outside, e to the power minus k1a can be taken outside here also. I have left is e to the power I k2a minus e to the power I k2a, which gives me 2 I sine k2a. So what this gives me is equal to k2 by k1. This is 1 minus k1 by k2 squared. This two common terms taken outside, and then I have I by 2 sine k2 a e to the power minus I k1 a. So let me also put this in the previous page where I am writing the expression. I have written the expression for A. So let me put it here, and then we can proceed to find the reflection and the transmission coefficients. So B is equal to k2 by k1 half k2 by I by 2 k2 by k1 e to the power minus I k1a into 1 minus k1 by k2 squared into sine k2a. Okay, so now let us go ahead and calculate the reflection and transmission coefficients. We have obtained the relation between A3, B3 and A1, B1. Now, the fact that there are no particles incident from the right tells us that B3 should be equal to 0. So, the fact that B3 is equal to 0, so this is a relation between A3, B3 and A1, B1. The fact that B3 is equal to 0 tells us that B star A1 plus A star B1 is equal to 0. So let us put it down. B3 equal to 0 implies B star A1 plus A star B1 is equal to 0, which implies that B1 is equal to minus B star by A star A1. Okay, so we have obtained B1 or okay in terms of A1, and this is what we need to calculate the reflection coefficient, because the reflection coefficient is nothing but mod of B1 square by mod of A1 squared. Let us also calculate A3 in terms of A1. So A3 is equal to A into A1, just from the definition of A and B, plus B into capital B1, and we have already found what capital B1 is. So this is equal to A into A1 minus B star by A star A1 into B. So this is equal to A mod squared minus B mod squared by A star into A1. Okay. So let me also write down the reflection and transmission coefficients. So the reflection coefficient is the ratio of B1 by A1 mod squared. So it is, the reflection coefficient is equal to B1 mod square by A1 mod squared, and this comes out to be equal to the mod of B star square by the mod of A star squared because okay, and we also know that transmission coefficient is equal to A3 mod squared by A1 mod squared, and this is equal to, so the ratio of, so the B3 by B1 is B star by A star, and A3 by A1 is so you have to calculate the mod square of this and divide it by the mod square of this, okay, which is A2 minus okay. So today I will stop here in the next class, we shall plug in all the expressions for A and B into this, and then we shall study the behavior of the reflection and transmission coefficients as we change the energy of the particle, the height of the barrier, etc.